got to do a little work there. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about is our similarities that unite us. We want to talk about family security. It's important. We want to talk about economic development. It's essential. We want to talk about education for our children. It matters. It matters. For example, Kamala Harris talks about an opportunity agenda for black men. But there is no opportunity, for example, unless you have the foundation. Kamala Harris talks about an opportunity agenda for black men. And we cannot allow our children's zip code to dictate the opportunities for our children's future. School choice is like the First Amendment of opportunity agenda. The rest of the Constitution can't work if you don't have the right enshrined in the First Amendment. That is why we created Community First, to promote economic self-sufficiency, to increase access to capital, to expand educational opportunities. And in order to do this, we need a commander-in-chief that has the ability to bridge the gap with government, business, private sector, and our communities. Maybe I didn't mention, I'm the founder of Community First. President Donald Trump has committed to working with Community First when he's back in office. And in case you didn't know, Community First is you, and people that look like me. So Community First endorses Donald J. Trump to be the 47th president of these United States of America. Opportunity and dignity for all. That's what we get with Donald Trump. The President of the United States. We know that's what he's gonna be. So I don't act like, I'm not the only one that know that, right? I think the world needs to hear us say, we want a real commander-in-chief in office to represent all of our communities. I love you, and thank you.
Let freedom ring, let the wonders sing, let the whole world know that today is a day of a reckoning. Let the weak be strong, let the right be wrong. Roll the stone away, guilty hands.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage CEO of the Right for America PAC, Sergio Gore.
make history in 9 days? I said, are you ready to make history in 9 days? Are you ready to send Donald J. Trump back to the White House? Only one man is fighting for America's prosperity. Only one man is fighting for America's security. Only one man is fighting for you. Will you join the fight? Fight! Fight! With only 9 days left, it is so important for you to vote. It is so important that you drag every like-minded family and friend. Grab your grandma, grab your brother, grab your sister, your neighbor, and drag them to the polls. You are part of the greatest comeback story in history because one man has refused to back down. In the last 4 years, we have witnessed the destruction of this once great nation. We have seen countless criminals cross our borders. We have seen our economy crippled. Prices are out of control. Ask yourself, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Ask yourself, can you afford 4 more years of Kamala Harris? America, we have a solution for you. We must send Donald Trump back to the White House. President Trump has reshaped our party into the party of the working class, a party which values prosperity and security, a party which doesn't want new wars in faraway lands. Kamala Harris today is crisscrossing the country with Liz Cheney. Well, we have a message for you. You can keep Liz Cheney and, for that matter, Dick Cheney too. I am so honored to be with all of you tonight as we work to push President Trump over the finish line. You and I are witnessing the greatest movement in American history. A movement that will be remembered for generations. A movement that will be remembered long after we are gone. Nothing will stop Donald Trump. He's been indicted more than Al Capone. They have tried to imprison him, bankrupt him, and even kill him. Well, it didn't work because he will never stop fighting for you. There is nothing that can stop the America First movement or the man who started it all, the 45th and soon 47th president, my friend Donald J. Trump. And if we do our job, we will be watching the CNN meltdown on November 5th. As Wolf Blitzer announces, Donald J. Trump has been elected the 47th President of the United States. Thank you, and onwards to victory.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage David Rem.
Thank you. On November 20th, 1974, my father suffered a massive heart attack and died. I went to this Q Forest school, the same school as our president, Trump, attended. 3 days after my father's burial, there was a knock on the door. One school morning, about 7 a.m. I answered the door. There was a very distinguished gentleman standing in front of me, and he said, when I opened the door, "Kid, call your mom down, please." I called upstairs to my mom. "Mom, there's some guy here, please come down." And she came down. And he said to her, "I'm very sorry to hear about Joseph Rem's death. I'm Fred Trump, Donald's father." And my mom said, "Yes, I know Donald Trump went to Q Forest School." He said, "Yes, Mrs. Rem, but what you probably don't know is that I'm still on the Board of Trustees. And this morning, I let Philip Rogers, who's the headmaster at Q Forest School, know that from this day forward, I, Fred Trump, out of my own pocket, is going to be paying for your 3 children's tuition at Q Forest, because I don't want the kids to have to go back into the public school system." Now, who would do that except the President Trump's father? And the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Can you imagine Kamala Harris performing a random, kind, generous act like that? Never, never, ever. In fact, she is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist. At her rally last week, she said that Jesus Christ followers are not welcome at my rally. You should go down the block to President Trump's rally. Let me say this, and maybe I'm speaking for the president and I shouldn't, but I think that President Trump loves Jesus followers at his rally. And I think that President Trump, in what he has experienced, knows that Jesus Christ is king. I was the victim of a violent, armed with a gun, carjacking. And I'm lucky to be standing here. If it wasn't for this man, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be standing here. The mayor that we have here in New York, Eric Adams, is a disaster. I once called out Bill de Blasio. This mayor is worse than Bill de Blasio and David Dinkins combined. I just want to say this. The cross that I'm holding is the cross that my mother, Beatrice Rem, used to hold in the air when she prayed at night, every night, for Donald Trump and his family. Because we knew 3 years ago that his life was going to be killed. Because they don't want to face Donald Trump at the ballot box. So they'll do anything they can, imprison him, kill him. And I'm just going to wrap this up. And I just want to tell President Trump that I'm fluent in Spanish, and I will follow you to the swing states, and I will speak in Spanish to the Latino voters, and I will make a difference. Donald, you need the Latino voters. The Latino voters will switch this election for your favor. And I just want to drop an announcement here. I decided I am going to make a run for mayor of New York City. Please go to David Rem, D-A-V-I-D-R-E-M, for mayor. And I just want to say that we need to make New York red. We need to make New York great again. We need to make New York healthy again. We need to make the world great again. And I want to say, I love you, President Trump. I love your entire family. They give you nothing but grief. And to the fake media out there who won't show my story or won't back Donald Trump, I love you, Donald. God bless America.
Smiling through the taste of blood in my own mouth. I got bruises and broken bones, but they don't know I ain't in this ring alone. I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. I was born to be a do-or-dyer, a make-it-righter. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. I'm a fighter. I get back up. That's what I do. I didn't soldier on this far just to lose. So take your shot. Is that all you got? I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. I was born to be a do-or-dyer, a make-it-righter. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. Yeah, I'm a fighter. No one can keep me down. They didn't know, but they know now. That I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. Don't cash in that last bet. Don't throw that towel just yet. I'm a fighter.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage former White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Dan Scavino.
Wow. Hello, New York City. How's everybody doing this evening? Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Look at me at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Who would have ever thought? I've been with this man for 30 years. 30 years. Through it all. I joined with him in 2015 when we started running for the presidency. When nobody said we had a shot. When we were a joke. We were polling at 1%. Then he won the presidency. I went to the White House with him for 4 years. It was an incredible journey. The president always behind the scenes will tell, and Team Trump will know what I'm saying here.
Sometimes on the plane or in the office, he'll say, "You are all so lucky I took you on this journey." In good times and bad. Yes, Mr. President, we are so honored to be on this journey. And you know what? You're damn straight I'm honored to be on this journey through the good times and the bad for the right and to fight for this country in which we all believe in. Hey, Hillary Clinton. She had some not nice things to say about this rally today at Madison Square Garden. Take a look, Hillary. USA, 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 USA. This has been the journey of a lifetime. The last 9 years have absolutely been incredible, but guess what? We've got 9 days. 9 days till we go to the polls and we vote for Donald J. Trump to be the 47th president of the United States of America. And it's going to happen, but you all need to get out and vote, 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 and fight, fight, fight. Just stay strong. The president loves each and everybody in this arena. Quick story, Butler, Pennsylvania, an attempted assassination. We went to the hospital. I'm going to give you a behind the scenes with the president. We go to the hospital, shot in the air, the entire world is watching on TV. He's in his hospital room, asking how things are going. I showed him that iconic photo of him raising his fist. And said, "Sir, this is the most iconic photo, I think, in the history of not only politics, but of all time." He stared at the photo. I told him it was from Doug Mills, New York Times photographer, a great photographer. The president's reaction was, "How is Doug? Is Doug okay? Reach out to Doug. See how he's doing." Of which I did when we were in the hospital. Everything he had going on just shot in the damn head. And the guys cared and concerned about how Doug is doing, how his team is doing that's with him at Team Trump. The behind the scenes moments are things, I could go, honestly, I could go for 10 hours here and tell you stories, but I only have 31 seconds left, so I will wrap it up. You've got a fighter behind the scenes and out in public. The guy loves the United States of America. He's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, campaigning, running all over the country. Loves this country. He's a patriot. You're all patriots. I cannot believe looking at this Madison Square Garden and just seeing it's packed to the brim. There must be 20,000 plus people. Love my family. Just do me a favor, go to TrumpForce47.com, check it out. Okay, get on there. Get out and vote, 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 please. We gotta win. We've gotta win. We are going to win. We are going to have Donald J. Trump as the 47th president of the United States of America. If you all go out and vote, 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 and fight!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Senior Advisor for President Donald J. Trump, Stephen Miller.
States of America, people watching in all 50 states, we are here tonight with a message for you. In 9 days, your rescue is coming. In 9 days, your salvation is at hand. In 9 days, Donald J. Trump is going to go back to the White House. We stand here today at a crossroads in the history of this nation, in the history of our civilization. This is a choice between betrayal and renewal, between self-destruction and salvation, between the failure of America or the triumph of America. I want you to think for a minute about the decades of abuse that has been heaped upon the good people of this nation. Their jobs looted and stolen from them and shipped to Mexico, Asia, and foreign countries. The lives of their loved ones ripped away from them by illegal aliens, criminal gangs, and thugs who don't belong in this country. A political system that punishes hard-working citizens, oppresses them at every turn, takes away their right to free speech, the right to political expression, the right to fundamental safety in their own country. One man dared to step forward 9 years ago and say, enough, no more, America gets its future back. And what happened next? What happened after he stepped down that escalator 9 years ago? The system he was fighting, tried to do everything in its power to stop him, to take away your voice, to take away your vote, to take away your right to have your own country. They lied, they defamed, they smeared, one witch hunt after another, one hoax after another, one betrayal after another, lie after lie, slander after slander, libel after libel, lawsuit after lawsuit. They tried to jail him, they tried to bankrupt him, they tried to imprison him, and they even tried to take his life with not one, but 2 assassination attempts. And let me ask you, when his life was on the line, did he falter? Did he waver? Did he yield? Did he surrender? Did he hesitate? Did he back down? Did he give one single solitary inch? Or did he stand up strong and proud and resilient, the warrior that he is, and raise his fist into the air and shout on behalf of all of you, fight, fight, fight? And what was he fighting for? He was fighting for your children, for your wives, your husbands, everyone that you love and know in the world. The right to live in a country where criminal gangs cannot just cross our border and rape and murder with impunity. Think about how corrupt and hateful and evil a system is that allows gangs to come into this country and rape and murder little girls. I'm not just saying that. You've read the stories. It happens every day. You read one of these heartbreaking headlines. Who's going to stand up for our daughters? Who's going to stand up for the girls of America, the women of America, the families of America? Who's going to stand up and say, the cartels are gone, the criminal migrants are gone, the gangs are gone, America is for Americans and Americans only? One man, and that man, ladies and gentlemen, that man took a bullet for you, he took a bullet for democracy, and all we are asking in return is for 9 days, for 9 short, precious days. You have to vote, vote, vote. Vote for freedom, vote for liberty, vote for sovereignty, vote for your children, vote for your families, vote for the right of free speech, the right to the Second Amendment, vote for the right to have a secure sovereign border, and for the right to have a government that puts American citizens ahead of illegal aliens. With your votes, you can smash this broken establishment. With your votes, you can end the corruption and graft. And with your votes, you can deliver the future to your children that they so dearly deserve. So I'll end with this thought. Each and every one of you has been loyal to your country. You have loved your country. You followed the rules. You paid your taxes. You did everything right. And the system just keeps beating you down, beating you down, and beating you down. And I say to you, are you going to let that system win? Are you going to surrender? Or are you going to follow the example of President Donald J. Trump and fight, fight, fight to the finish and save this nation, save this country, save this civilization, and save this glorious bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the founder of the Witkoff Group, Steve Witkoff.
Oh, I wish I was in a land of cotton. Old times there are none more forgotten. Look away, look away, what? Look away, Dixieland.
How good of a song is that? Reminds me of the president. His truth is marching on. Good evening, New York, and good evening to a special 6-year-old. Hi, Finley. It's a privilege to be here with all of you tonight, right in the heart of the city that means so much to me. This city shaped who I am, helped me to build my business, and gave me my roots. But I'll tell you, this is not the New York I grew up in. Our city has drifted away from what it once was, but if there's one man who can restore it to its greatness, it is my dear friend, President Donald J. Trump. I've known the president for over 30 years, not just as a leader, but as a friend. When I talk about him, I talk about someone with incredible compassion and humility. He cares deeply about people, even when the cameras are not rolling. His kindness is quiet but genuine, and it's a side of him the media rarely shows. It's unfortunate that a man who has done so much for so many has been painted in such an unfair light. Accusations of extremism, they couldn't be further from the truth. President Trump is not just a man of vision and leadership, he's a man of faith. He respects all faiths and has always stood for religious freedom. His unabiding belief in the value of every individual is grounded in his respect for God and country. President Trump embraces freedom and fights for the rights of all Americans. Despite facing constant opposition, he has persevered. He's been targeted with lawsuits and accusations, yet he's never wavered in his commitment to the American people. I know he'll fight for each and every one of you, as he's always fought for me. That's the kind of leader we need. Someone who never backs down when things get tough, but keeps pushing forward for what's right. In a world that often feels uncertain, President Trump offers each of us clarity. His policies are rooted in common sense. He understands the importance of strength, both at home and abroad, and leads with courage. New York deserves someone who's ready to fight for it, as the country does. We need President Trump's leadership to bring back the city we all love. Now let me leave you with a quote from one of my favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan, who said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, it must be protected, and handed on for them to do the same." While Reagan was an extraordinary president, there is no doubt in my mind that President Donald J. Trump is the greatest leader and president this nation has ever seen. Trump understands that the fight for freedom is never over. If we fight for him, my fellow Americans, we can restore New York, restore this country, secure the future of this great nation for generations to come. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the Trump family, and God bless the United States of America.
Oh, I wish I was in a land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away. Dixieland.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Congressman Byron Donalds.
Man, is it good to be home in New York City. You know, usually I got a lot to say, but this one's special to me. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. In New York, we refer to MSG as the Mecca. We refer to it as the center of entertainment. And in 9 days, it's going to be the launch point for the center of making Donald Trump the 47th president of the United States. I don't even want to talk about Kamala. Why? Why would we waste our time? She doesn't even want to talk about herself. She tells us she grew up in a middle-class family. But I don't care, because it's families today in New York, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Milwaukee, in Phoenix. They are struggling because of Kamala Harris, and they are saying the same thing we're saying. We had enough. We need Donald Trump back. She broke the border. She broke the border and doesn't even have the guts to tell you the truth. But that's okay, because the next president of the United States, he's going to fix the border, because he did it once and he's going to do it again. She unleashed the massive inflation that has made it harder for every working family in our country. If she was around when I was a kid, it would have devastated my mom, who still lives in Brooklyn. Hi, Mom. How you doing? And you think she has an answer for the people who are trying to find ways to get ahead? No, she doesn't. Nothing but word salad. I kind of like salad. Everybody should have some. It's healthy. It's good for you. But this word salad mess is demented. It is meant to make you think that she's smart and you're somehow dumb. The truth of the matter is, the common sense of the American people is what is needed today, and that will be brought by Donald J. Trump.
Then you look around the world. Look around the world. She said she was the last person in the room after that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. You know, that withdrawal is seared into my mind. I remember watching Afghanis hold on to the sides of airplanes to escape the Taliban. And as I'm watching this, the one thing I know is that if Donald Trump was president, that never would have happened. Never would have happened. But I have a special message to everybody around the world, especially those who want to find themselves getting into the business of other people or messing with our greatest ally in Israel. Donald Trump is going to stand by Israel 100% of the way. 100% of the way. And Donald Trump is going to get us out of these wars because he did it once and he's going to do it again. But the last thing we're going to fix, and it's a big one. You see, I got 3 kids. They're all boys. And I'll be damned if you're going to have some school tell my boys that they can now be girls. Not on my watch. Not on the watch of Donald Trump, I can promise you that. We're going to have common sense in America again under Donald Trump. We're going to get men out of women's sports under Donald Trump. America will take its place again as the shining city on the hill, as the leader of the world, as the #1 nation, as the great experiment, because he's going to fix it once again. And together, New York and around America, we are going to make America great again. God bless you, New York. God bless America. Let's go win. Let's go win.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time is now. In case you forgot or fell off, I'm still hot, knock your shell off. My money stacked fat, plus I can't turn the swell off. A franchise doing big business, I live this, it's automatic. I win this, so you hear those horns, you finish. A soldier, and I stay under you fighting. Plus I'm storming on you chumps like I'm thunder and lightning. Ain't no way you breaking me, kid. I'm hard as nails. Plus I keep it on lock like I'm part of the jail.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Chair of the House Republican Conference, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
Hello, New York! I have a message for the mainstream media, and I can say this as a born and raised New Yorker. New York is Trump country! Wow, it is incredible to be here in the iconic Madison Square Garden. President Trump has been talking about this rally for years, and what a way to kick off the final week of the most epic campaign to save America. Every election, we say, is the most important in our lifetime, but this one really is. No matter where you go, whether it's in New York City, upstate New York, or in any of the swing states, people understand there is so much at stake. And it is we, the people, When we vote for President Donald J. Trump, we the people will save America. Just look at the crises that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have brought to our nation and have brought right here to New York. The border crisis, illegals swarming our streets, taking billions of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, all because Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's open border czar. She owns this border crisis. She created it. Or the inflation crisis, the highest rate of inflation in our lifetime. And you know who was the deciding vote for Joe Biden's Inflation Expansion Act? Kamala Harris. And the crime crisis. Democrats are the party of defund the police, and Kamala Harris has turned her back on our men and women in blue. New Yorkers, support our police. We will always back the blue. And then take a look around the world. What is happening? You had the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Kamala Harris was the last person in the room advising Joe Biden of that horrific mistake. You had Putin invading Ukraine, and then just over 1 year ago, we had our most precious ally, Israel, under attack from Iranian-backed Hamas terrorists. And Kamala Harris has turned her back on Israel. And what did we see? What did we see on our college campuses? We saw a skyrocketing of anti-Semitism. Let me ask you all, did you see that committee hearing with those college presidents, now former college presidents? That's right. I asked the presidents of Penn, MIT, and Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate your university's code of conduct? And one after the other said, it depends on the context, and the world heard. You're fired. 5 have been fired, so many to go. And you know, compare that with President Trump. He brought us the most secure border in our nation's history. He brought us the strongest economy. He proudly supports our law enforcement, and he has and always will stand with Israel. Donald J. Trump has fought for us, the American people, whether it was fighting against the sham impeachment, which I was a proud member of President Trump's impeachment defense team, whether it was standing up for election integrity, or whether it was facing the witch hunts by New York's own Tish James, Alvin Bragg, and corrupt judges. You know, after we fire Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we're going to fire Kathy Hochul, Alvin Bragg, Tish James. You're fired. As I said, President Trump has fought for us. It is now our opportunity to fight for him. And New York, we made history when we fired Nancy Pelosi once and for all and flipped those 5 congressional seats. We need to make history again. So 9 days, flood the polls, vote for President Donald J. Trump to save New York and save America. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson.
Hello, Madison Square Garden. Is New York ready to make America great again? My friends, I came here tonight so excited to be with you. I came off of the field to give you a very important field report. Now, I've been traveling all around the country, nonstop. We've been to the red states and the blue states. We've been to the safe districts and the swing districts. We've been all around America. And I'm going to tell you what's happening right now. I'm here to report something. There's something very powerful happening out there among the base, okay? I'm telling you, there's an energy out there that we have not seen before. And I am convinced that in 9 days, we are going to grow the House majority, we're going to take back the Senate, and send Donald Trump back to the White House. Let me tell you why that is. Because everywhere around the country, no matter where you live, everybody is fed up and they are fired up. They're fed up. It doesn't matter what demographic they're in. It doesn't matter what walk of life. They know that we cannot afford 4 more years of Kamala Harris in the White House. And we can't possibly afford turning the House or the Senate over to the Democrats. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you what I ask these groups all around the country. Do you want 4 more years of open borders? I don't think you do. No. Do you want 4 more years of high cost and inflation? You want 4 more years of rising crime in every community? No. How about 4 more years of woke ideology in our schools and our military? You want 4 more years of wars and weakness on the world stage? Nobody does. American voters are sick of it, and they want to change. Now listen, for the last 2 years, we've had a bit of a dilemma, right? The House has been the only firewall in Washington standing between Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and the American people. Now, we played defense. We blocked their woke America Last agenda, and we passed solutions to all the great challenges facing the country. But here's the problem. They got stopped in the Senate. We also had the smallest Republican majority in U.S. history. But you know what the good news is? We're about to grow that majority. That's what's going to happen on November 5th. New York is going to make that happen. You're going to elect your incumbents here and our challengers, and you're going to make the big difference. And we need a Republican Senate so we can retire Chuck Schumer for good. And America needs, and everybody knows, no matter where we are in the country, we know we have to get Donald J. Trump back to the White House so we can get this thing fixed. When we do that, we're going to secure the border once for all. We're going to unleash American energy dominance again. We're going to lower the cost of living. We're going to support our allies and stand up to our adversaries. We're going to defend our rights and our freedoms and the troops and the veterans who fought for them. And we will protect the values and the principles that made America the greatest nation in the history of the world. I'll just leave you with this thought. We're not in a battle this time just between 2 different political parties. It's much deeper than that. There's something much more fundamental going on. We're in a battle between 2 completely different visions for who we are as a nation and who we're going to be. We revere the founding principles. We revere our Judeo-Christian foundations. We revere individual freedom and limited government and the rule of law and peace through strength and fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity, secure borders. But the other team doesn't anymore, my friends. This is not your father's Democratic Party. They are now full on to Marxism and socialism. They don't envision for us to save the founding principles and the greatest nation in the history of the world. Instead, what they envision for us is that we would be some sort of European-style Marxist borderless utopia. We all know that's a dangerous fool's errand. You know what's going to happen in 9 days? The American people are going to let their voices be heard. We are going to take this country back. We're going to restore the foundations, and we are truly going to make America great again. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Vivek Ramaswamy.
I've got that lightning inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, oh, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate, there is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me, this is how legends are made.
I'll tell you something, I don't follow the polls, I don't follow the pundits, but I follow the energy. And this does not feel like second place energy in here tonight. I had a friend of mine, smart guy, he's a billionaire, texted me this morning. And he said, why the hell are you guys wasting your time in New York City instead of going to a swing state? You wanna know what I told him? I said, welcome to 2024, New York is a swing state. I got a message for Kamala Harris tonight. We're feeling the joy in New York City tonight, aren't we? And the only celebration bigger than this one right now is going to be on the evening of November 5th when we send Donald J. Trump back to the White House as your 47th president and commander-in-chief. And I'm looking around here, there's only one man who is going to be more happy than everybody else in this room when that happens, and that is going to be a man by the name of Joe Biden, actually. He is so pissed off about what they did to him. And you know, he's thinking it, but I'm going to say it. Identity politics never works in America. When you select somebody on the basis of their race and their gender, it always ends up being a disaster. And I'm actually talking about Tim Walz this time, by the way. It goes both ways. So listen up, guys. Last year, I became the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. And thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll tell you something about my generation. We are lost. We are hungry to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Yet we can't even answer what it means to be an American today. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. Faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family. These things have disappeared only to be replaced by wokeism and transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And right now, we need to step up and fill that void with our own vision. Answer, what does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? It means we believe in the ideals of 1776. It means we believe in merit, that the best person gets the job regardless of their skin color, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That's why we're done with the woke DEI agenda, bringing in meritocracy to America. It means we believe in the rule of law, and I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law, and that is why if we've had the largest influx of illegals into this country in American history, we will have the largest mass deportation in American history. That is not racist or xenophobic. That is what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. It means we believe in self-governance, that the people we elect to run the government, for God's sake, ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state that are running the show today. So you want another mass deportation? Let's get 3 million federal bureaucrats out of the D.C. bureaucracy. That's the mass deportation that saves the country. What does it mean to be American? It means we have elections we can trust and believe in, and that means single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots and government-issued ID to match the voter file. That's how we save the country after we win it this time by voting early. These are not black ideas or white ideas. They are American ideals that set this country into motion. We're in a war to revive them, and right now we need the commander-in-chief who will lead us to victory. That is your next president, Donald J. Trump. If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to grow the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to stay out of World War III in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. I'm going to give you one more reason to vote Trump, and it's this. It's the one the media in the back, they won't talk about this. But they know it to be true. Donald Trump is actually the president who will unite this country, actually. And we don't talk about that enough. America First includes all Americans, regardless of their race, their gender, or their sexual orientation. Our message to black Americans tonight is this: we want you, what we want for every American. Safe neighborhoods, good jobs, clean streets. A country where you are judged based on the content of your character, not the color of your skin or your political beliefs. That's the America we know. Our message to gay Americans tonight is this: you're free to marry who you want, if you want, without the government standing in your way. But that doesn't mean that boys get to compete with girls in girls' sports, or you do genital mutilation and chemical castration on our children. Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this: you're like my parents. But our message to every illegal immigrant, if you came legally, you get the same American dream that everybody else does. Work hard, get ahead, make contributions to this country, love the nation, and that's our message to legal immigrants. But our message to every illegal immigrant is also this: we will return you to your country of origin. Not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law, and the United States of America is founded on the rule of law. Our message to my generation, the millennials, is this: you were sold a false bill of goods. You were told you become a gender studies major in California. Somehow that gets you a head start on the American dream, when it hasn't worked out that way. Dead on your shoulders. The Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Yes, it's true you were lied to. But we can't just be cynical about our country, because this is still the last best hope that we have in the free world. And our message to Gen Z is this: you're going to be the generation that saves the country. You want to be a rebel? 18 years old, stand up on your college campus and call yourself a conservative. Be proud of it. Say you want to get married, have kids, raise a family, and have a good job. That's how we win in America. We don't have to be this nation in decline. We are still on our way up. We're still that country where we will look our children in the eye and mean it when we tell them, you get ahead in the United States with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And that is what we get when we send Donald Trump back to the White House this November. Thank you. God bless you and the great state of New York, and may God bless our United States of America. Thank you, God bless. Thank you, guys.
I've got that lightning inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, oh, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate. There is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
Let me back it up to the start of the climb. Faced with the army of vipers and lions, I had to keep on reaching up, 'cause it was my time to tear down the kingdom, call out the lions. Got a jam on my heart.
Hello, New York! Join me as I say these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As we gather here today on this historic occasion, we stand together as proud Americans in understanding that these very rights are under attack. So we face this historic crossroads where our freedom and our future is in our hands. There's never been a more clear choice in any election in my life, and our ability to live in a truly peaceful and free and prosperous country is on the line. I love you too. And it is that love that brings us together here today, that love for freedom, that love for our country and love for each other as fellow Americans, as children of God, that compels us to take action to save our country and defend our freedom. Now, this choice that we have before us is very personal to me. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. I've served now for over 21 years. I've deployed to different war zones 3 times over that period, and I've seen the cost of war. For my brothers and sisters who paid the ultimate price, I carry their memories and their sacrifice in my heart every day. So this choice that we have before us as Americans is critical. It's important to us. It's important to those of us who serve, who have volunteered to put our lives on the line for the safety, security, and freedom of our country and our people, and it's critical to all of us. Here is the choice that we have. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney, and it's a vote for war, more war, likely World War III and nuclear war. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them.
and who has demonstrated already that he has the courage and strength to stand up and fight for peace. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for open borders, where known violent criminals and Islamist terrorists are streaming across our borders, placing us at risk. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for secure borders and safe communities, and a confidence that he will seek out those who seek to do us harm and get them out. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for economic hardship, high cost of living, poverty, and homelessness, and a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for economic prosperity and opportunity for every single one of us as Americans. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for censorship and a complete erosion of our fundamental and constitutional rights and freedoms. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for someone who will defend freedom and every one of our God-given rights that are enshrined in the Constitution and Bill of Rights. So the choice is ours. History will look back on us at this moment for the choice that we make. Did we choose war or peace? Did we choose poverty or prosperity? Did we choose censorship or freedom? Our freedom and our future is in our hands. We have just a few days left to complete this no-fail mission that we have before us to save our country. Nothing short of our future is on the line. So now, just as we've gathered here today in this historic place and this historic time, we will gather together all across this country, people of every race, ethnicity, religion, and creed, to stand together and defend our freedom and ensure our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now is the time for us to send Donald Trump back to the White House to be the 47th President of the United States, where we can stand together and make America great again. Thank you so much. Let's get it done. Aloha.
Let me back it up to the start of the climb. Faced with an army of vipers and lions, I had to keep on reaching up, 'cause it was my time to take.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage former presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
And I've set up and torn out this stage with my own two hands. We've traveled this land, back tight in minivans. And all this for the fans, girls, money, and fame. I played their game and had to scream my name. I will show no shame. I live and die for this. And if I come off soft, then chew on this.
Thank you, New York. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people ask me why I left the Democratic Party. And I say I don't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. This is not the party anymore of Martin Luther King, of Robert Kennedy, of John Kennedy. That was the party of peace. It was the party of constitutional rights, of civil rights, of freedom of speech. It was the party that wanted to protect and nurture the middle class. It was the party that stood up to censorship, to surveillance, that stood up to the CIA, to the military complex, military-industrial complex. And it was the party that wanted to protect public health and women's sports. My uncle, Ted Kennedy, wrote Title IX, which protected women's sports in college. It was the party that believed in voting rights and fought for the right of every American to vote for the person of their choice. Today's Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of the CIA. You had Kamala Harris giving a speech at the Democratic Convention that was written by neocons, that was belligerent, pugnacious, that talked about the domination of the world by the United States through our weapons of war. It's the party today that wants to divide Americans. It's the party that is dismantling women's sports by letting men play women's sports. It's the party of Wall Street. It's the party of Bill Gates, who just gave $50 million to Kamala Harris. It's the party, and the Harris campaign is very proud that it received the endorsement of 50 former CIA agents and officers, and of John Bolton, and of Dick Cheney. These are the people that gave us the war in Iraq, the worst foreign policy catastrophe that's ever happened to this country. These are the people that gave us the Patriot Act, that launched the surveillance state. These are the people that are trying to undermine voting rights in this country by weaponizing the federal agencies against political candidates, including me and Donald Trump and all other political candidates that can't win an election. And instead of bringing in a candidate who wins the primaries, abolish the primaries, and then pick two candidates, anointed them without receiving votes. We don't even know how Kamala Harris received the nomination. And this is the party of Wall Street, of big banks, of big data, of big tech, of the military contractors, and the parties of big pharma, big ag, big food, and big chemicals. This is the party that's given us the sickest children in the history of the world. When my uncle was president, 6% of Americans had chronic disease, and we spent zero on chronic disease in this country. Today, 60% of Americans have chronic disease. This is existential for our country. We're spending $4.3 trillion a year, 5 times our military budget. 77% of American boys cannot qualify for military service because of chronic disease diagnoses. This is existential for our country. President Trump called me 3 hours after his shooting. And he said, would I come and sit down with them? And he said to me during that meeting, he said, there are some things that we can agree on and some we disagree on, but the landscapes on which we agree are so much larger. He said, I want to end the wars. I want to end this surveillance and censorship. I want to protect the Constitution. I want to protect freedom of speech. I want to end the surveillance. I want to end the weaponization of government against American politicians. And I want to end the chronic disease epidemic. Now, don't you think that we deserve a president in this country who's going to restore the moral authority of the United States of America? Don't you think that we deserve a president who's going to end the warfare state and rebuild the middle class? Don't you want a president who's going to put America first? And don't you want a president who's going to protect our children? And who's going to protect women's sports? And who's going to stop dividing this country along racial lines? And don't you want a president who's going to end the corruption at the federal agencies, at FDA, at NIH, at CDC, and at the CIA? And don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again? And don't you want a president who's going to make America great again? And we need to go to the polls on November 5th and vote for Donald Trump. God bless you and God bless America.
We've traveled this land, packed tight in minivans. And all this for the fans, girls, money, and fame. I played their game, and had to scream my name. I will show no shame. I live and die for this. And if I come off soft, then chew on this.
Are you scared?
Devil without a call, and I'm back with the beaver hats and back Davis slack.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Tucker Carlson.
Thank you. I saw the Grateful Dead in this arena in 1987. I was seated right there. How weird. It's such an honor to be here, and it's wild. Just another day following Bobby Kennedy Jr. at a Donald Trump rally in Madison Square Garden. I mean, what? That's totally normal. Liz Cheney's out there with Kamala Harris. And there's Bobby Kennedy calling to protect women's sports at a Trump rally. It's a realignment. It's unbelievable. And the fact that it's here is even sweeter. Imagine if you're, and just pause for one moment. Imagine you're Donald Trump. You're from New York City. You become famous in New York City. You make your fortune in New York City. And all of a sudden, the leadership of New York City decides they're going to destroy you because they don't like your politics. And so they, yeah, boo. Imagine if that were you, though. And they try and take everything that you have. They try and put you in prison. They try and put your children in prison. If that happened to you, how often do you think you'd be going back to New York City? How about never?
and yet he's here. It's like getting thrown out of a bar. And you think to yourself, well, you know, all my friends are in the bar. And you approach the door, and there's the bouncer like, you're not allowed in here. But from behind the bouncer, you hear the cheers of your friend, come on in! And the bouncer hangs his head in shame. Ugh. He's embarrassed that he's working for the man trying to keep the most popular person out of the bar. And that's Donald Trump back in the city that produced him with no embarrassment at all, in a room full of his friends. The stones that takes, the bravery that takes is incredible. Donald Trump's gonna win. He's gonna win. I know that that's true. Why is Donald Trump gonna win? The people he's about to defeat have no idea. And they're panicked. They have no idea why people like Donald Trump. And their first theory was, well, Donald Trump is evil, so half the country's evil also. And that's one of the reasons they spent the last 4 years trying to destroy the country, because they're mad at its voters for liking Donald Trump. How much easier would it have been just to pause for 20 minutes and ask yourself honestly in some silent place, why do people like Donald Trump? And if they had been honest enough to ask themselves that question, they would have come up with the two main reasons, and here's what they are. The first reason that people like Donald Trump is because he likes them. That's why. And it's real. Affection is something you can't fake. I don't care how many times Kamala Harris would tell me she loves me, I don't believe her. I saw her kiss her husband with a mask on. A mask. Her version of love. 10 years telling you Trump is a hater. Do you feel that on him? No, you don't. Because it's not there. I've spent a lot of time with Trump. And there's not one moment I've ever been with him off camera where he's spending his time grousing about people he hates. Ever. He's talking about the people and the country he loves in his private time. Trust me. And people know, in a country that has been taken over by a leadership class that actually despises them and their values and their history and their culture and their customs, really hates them to the point that it's trying to replace them, they know someone who actually has affection for them, and that's Donald Trump. And it's requited. It's requited. They know. When he goes to McDonald's and serves fries, like, he's not faking that at all. That's why that worked. Democratic media consultants are like, how is that working? Because it's real. That's why. And the second reason that people love Trump, and I put myself in this category, it's why I'm here today, is because he's liberated us in the deepest and truest sense. And the liberation he has brought to us is the liberation from the obligation to tell lies. Donald Trump has made it possible for the rest of us to tell the truth about the world around us. And that's the single most liberating thing you can do for people. If you want to enslave people, if you want to degrade them, force them to tell lies. And they have. They forced us to lie about everything at gunpoint, effectively. They put people in prison for refusing to lie. And not just the obvious lies that men can become women, or Vladimir Putin blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. No, honestly, he did. January 6th was an insurrection. They were unarmed, but it was very insurrection-y. Not even the obvious ones, but the big lie. You know what the big lie is? The big lie is that they're impressive. That's what the big lie is. That the people in charge have somehow earned the right to rule over you, and they haven't. And you know that. These are the single most useless people in the United States. They have no skills whatsoever. They've got 3/4 of the money, and they didn't earn it. They set up a system precisely for the purpose of awarding themselves wealth and power when it's undeserved. You look at Liz Cheney and you ask yourself honestly, what skill could she possibly have that allowed her to send hundreds of thousands of people to their deaths? Did she earn that? I don't think she did. No fair system would make Liz Cheney powerful. No fair system would make Larry Fink rich. No fair system would elevate someone like Kamala Harris to a presidential nomination. She's never been accused of doing anything useful. She has precisely no achievements. She's a nominee without getting a single vote. She is a metaphor for the system they created to make themselves rich and powerful, and then they have the gall to lecture you, the people who can actually change a flat tire and repair a power grid, who have useful jobs, who pay your taxes and work 40 hours a week, lecture you that you are somehow immoral. And Donald Trump has empowered the rest of us through mostly just sticking around in the face of their hate and abuse and persecution. He has given the rest of us the right to call BS on the charade. No, you are not better than us. No, you are not smarter than us. No, you do not deserve what you have. You probably stole it. No, you're not going to bully me into silence anymore. And I can promise you at this point, 9 days out, when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and pretty much every high school senior and college shorty girl in the country has come out finally say, yeah, I am for Donald Trump, actually. When the entire country has realized there is nothing embarrassing about this, what's embarrassing is to take a perfectly great country and destroy it, as they have. I'm not ashamed, you should be. At that moment, it's going to be pretty tough for them 10 days from now to look in the eye to America with a straight face. It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal. At this stage of the game, after 9 years of listening to their lies and finding every single one of them totally false, no, it's not safe and effective, and no, she's not impressive. It's very hard for me to believe the rest of us are going to say, you know what, Joe Scarborough, you're right. You're right. She won fair and square because she's just so impressive. I don't think so. And to me, that is liberation. It's the freedom to say what's obviously true as a free man and not a slave. And I just want to say thank you, Donald Trump, for that.
Billy Ray was a preacher's son, and when his daddy would visit, he'd come along. When they gathered around the star.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage professional wrestler Hulk Hogan.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta take a stand, it don't hurt to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. I gotta be a man, I can't let it
Well, let me tell you something, Trumpomaniacs. Welcome to the house that Hulkamania built. You know something? Usually when I'm in Madison Square Garden, I'm body slamming giants. I'm winning world heavyweight titles, and I'm cracking people over the heads with steel chairs. And the energy in Madison Square Garden is off the Richter scale. But today, Trumpomaniacs, the energy in here is something like I've never felt. The energy of all these Trumpomaniacs is the most powerful force in the universe. And today, this is Donald Trump's house, brother. You know something, Trump maniacs? I don't see no stinking Nazis in here. I don't see no stinking domestic terrorists in here. The only thing I see in here are a bunch of hard-working men and women that are real Americans, brother. You know, when I hear my president and our president, Donald Trump, speak, he sounds for real, brother. He sounds like he has a heart of gold that's all for the USA. But when I hear Kamala speak, it sounds like a script from Hollywood with a really, really bad actress. You know, Kamala is responsible for the border crisis, and Kamala is also responsible for inflation. And then you know something? She acts like she's the victim. And then all of a sudden, she flips, she flops, she spins and turns it around and acts like she's gonna be the damn hero. But we all know Trump is the only man that can fix this country today. And with Trump as our commander-in-chief, peace through strength will fix all the problems in the Middle East. You know, I've been coming to this building month after month after month, and I've seen sold-out crowds over and over again for over 40 years. And for 40 years, I've always asked the question, what you gonna do? Over and over and over again, what you gonna do? Well, today, after feeling the energy in this building, I finally got the answer. And the answer is, vote for Trump. So now, I got a couple questions for you. What you gonna do about the border invasion? What you gonna do about inflation? What you gonna do about keeping America safe, brother? And what you gonna do about putting God in our homes, in our country, and our schools? So I guess we're all on the same page. So I got one final question for you. What you gonna do and who's gonna make America great again? God bless Donald Trump. He's our next president.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta take a stand. It don't hurt to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. I gotta be a man. I can't let it slide. I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. I feel strong about right and wrong. And I don't take trouble for very long. I get something deep inside of me. Courage is the thing that keeps us free. I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage founder of Marriage Street Media, Dr. Phil McGraw.
Deep like the grandest canyon, wild like an untamed stallion. If you can't see my heart, you must be blind. You can knock me down and watch me bleed, but you can't keep no chains on me. I was born free.
Well, you guys look just like you do when I'm on TV. Except for you, you look a little different. Listen, I love you guys for caring enough about the United States of America to come out here tonight. Thank you so much for caring enough to come out here tonight. I have to tell you, I love this country. I do. I love this country. I stand up when our flag goes by. I put my hand over my heart when they play our national anthem. And I'm so proud to see so many people take time out of their day to come out here and stand up for this country. And strangely enough, I'm not here just to stand up for Donald J. Trump. Lord knows he doesn't need me to stand up for him. He's tough as an old army boot. He's got lots of enemies, different groups that are scared, and between them, they have impeached him, indicted him, raided him, railroaded him, shot him, and sued him. And where is he? He is still standing. He just keeps on coming because he loves this country too. I can be honest and say, I can be honest because we have free speech in America. I can be honest and say I don't like or agree everything that Donald J. Trump does or says. I mean, come on. Nobody agrees with everything or likes everything somebody else says or does, right? No human is perfect. We don't strive for perfection, we strive for excellence. But you don't have to love everything about someone in order to love them. And the last thing he needs is some celebrity endorsement. What the hell do I know? I know I'm no celebrity to begin with. And celebrities don't know anything about policies or politics. So, only difference between me and them is I'm willing to admit it. So, why am I here? Well, I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to talk to and stand up for the people who have declared their support for Donald J. Trump, or they got found out, or they want to do it, but they're too intimidated. Because you know what happens when somebody in this country says, hey, I'm going to vote Republican, I'm going to vote Donald J. Trump? They get canceled, intimidated, marginalized, excluded, or even fired or boycotted. And you know what that means? In short, that adds up to being bullied. And now we're talking about something I know a hell of a lot about. Now you're in my wheelhouse, buddy. I may not be an expert in politics, but I am an expert about bullying. And bullying is when you seek to harm somebody, you seek to intimidate, coerce, cause distress, fear, risk to their well-being. And it can be physical, verbal, relational, or cyberbullying. And it's always wrong. You said it, my friend. It is always wrong when you bully somebody. And that's what's going on. Now, let me tell you what the critics are going to say when they hear me talking about this. They're going to say, well, now, wait a minute. Come on. Isn't Trump a bully? And let me tell you why the answer to that question is no. Because to be a bully, there has to be an imbalance of power. And when there's not, it's just called a debate. And he's just better at it than anybody else. It's called debating. It's called arguing. It's just, it may even name calling, but it's not bullying unless there's an imbalance of power. And whoever he talks to, they've got a microphone, they got on their big boy pants, they got a stage, they got everything else. He's just better at it. And the same thing is true. When the Democrats or Harris call him fascist, Hitler, racist, misogynist, or a crook, is that bullying? Well, not really. It's ugly. But with the First Amendment, which we all want to keep, there's no imbalance of power, so it's not bullying. It's just like when he does. It may not be the best use of energy, but when you attack civilians, when you attack a citizen, and you use the power of the internet, you use mob mentality, you incite people to gang up and cause boycotts, then it's beyond ugly. And that's what's happening in this country right now, and that's not okay. There is an imbalance of power there, and it's time that every one of us close ranks. We have to stop this now. It's time that we push back against cancel culture. It's time that we push back against intimidation tactics. And that is exactly the reason that I launched Merit Street Media, which, by the way, we didn't choose the name for that by random. Merit Street Media. This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI. This country was built on hard work, and it needs to continue to be built on hard work. And the legacy media has sold out. The legacy media has sold out. And I'll tell you, one night I was sitting at dinner with my wife, Robin, and I was complaining as we were flipping around and listening to the spin on what supposedly news. And I said, damn, I'm tired of listening to all this media spin and everything. And without even looking up, she said, well, you are the media. Why don't you do something about it? She said, you got bigger ratings than the four of them combined. Why don't you do something about it? Well, as usual, she was right. And that's why I launched the new network, because we want people to think for themselves. You guys aren't dumb. You don't need to be told what to think. You just need the facts. And you're here because you have the facts, right? You're here because you recognize when legacy media edits answers and gives you what they want you to hear instead of the truth. And when they start editing their candidates' answers, they've lost their moral compass. They've lost their way. And I would love to say it's equal on both sides, but I'll guarantee you, when Beyonce, George Clooney, De Niro, and Lizzo come out and say they're for Kamala Harris, when they all come out and say they're for Kamala Harris, did you read anything or hear anything in the media criticizing it? No. But you watch what happens tomorrow morning when people find out I came here to talk to you. You say this in Hollywood and all of a sudden you ain't got a job. The problem is I don't need one. I don't need a job because I got you. And I've got a question for all of us. Have we lost our minds? We have the First Amendment in America where our government has said we will pass no laws to infringe on our freedoms for religion and speech. So that's the law, but we're muzzling each other. What is going on? We have a law that protects free speech, so we start taking it away from each other? Are you kidding me? We can't allow that to happen. We cannot encourage it. And let me tell you something about bullying. Bullies are bad, right? Let me tell you what else is bad. Bystanders. If you are a bystander, if you are watching somebody get picked on, if you're watching somebody get bullied, and you don't do anything about it, you're just as guilty as the bully that's doing the bullying. Am I right? I have talked to so many children in schools that tell me the worst feeling they've ever had is being bullied and feeling alone and abandoned when they are picked on and intimidated, when they wished even one person, even one other kid would step up and say, hey, come sit with me at lunch. Don't sit in a stall in the bathroom and cry your way through lunch and eat alone. We're not going to let you be alone. And it's the same thing with adults. Adults don't want to be cut out of the herd and feel like they're alone. The number one need in all people is acceptance. The number one fear is rejections, and bullies, they prey on that. We must claim the right to our point of view. We must be critical thinkers, and when you see somebody being picked on, then you've got to be willing to step up and say, hey, I'm with you. Don't let that happen. And you've got to know why you're strong on the issues you're strong on. You've got to know why you're strong on affordability and safety and security and the border and family care for men and women and law and order and your core values for your children's education and our military. Know why you're where you are. And when you come to your friends and coworkers being bullied, don't be a bystander. Don't be a bystander. You can't let it happen. When you say you love America, that's a verb. That also means you love Americans. You've got to push back and call out the bullies. You've got to stand with those that have targets in their lives. Targets if they're picking on them by calling their jobs to get them fired. Boycotts or kicking them out of their jobs at church or their groups at church. I've spent 45 years listening to people. And I was just in North Carolina and after the hurricane hit down there. And you know what? I saw neighbors helping neighbors, and not one of them asked, are you a Democrat or a Republican? I saw neighbors helping neighbors, and we need to unify this country. You have the right to vote for who you want to vote for president, and we need to step up and claim it, and we need to stand with each other. There are so many who want to, but they're bullied, so they're afraid to. And let me tell you something. One of the most important days in American history was 9/12/2001. Not 9/11. We all know what happened on 9/11. One of the most important days was 9/12, because on 9/12, we all woke up and we were all Americans on 9/12. If you were an American on 9/12, stand up right now. If you were an American on 9/12, stand up right now. That's who we were. That's who we are. And the difference between winners and losers is winners do things losers don't want to do. And we have to stand proud to help our neighbors who want to vote their conscience and not be afraid. No one should be alone. No one should feel abandoned. No one should have their business boycotted. If you hear somebody's getting their business boycotted, you should get your friends and make sure their business gets doubled. If somebody pulls their advertising from your friend's business, you should let those advertisers know you're going to spend the rest of your life making sure that advertiser is boycotted until they do the right thing. You need to let people know this is over in America. We're going to unify this country. We're going to listen and not be intimidated. We're going to go out and lead by example. Let's quit complaining about what is and start doing something about it. If your neighbor wants to vote the other way, say fine, go vote the other way. I'll love you anyway. Let's lead by example. If they want to do it, let them do it. Love them anyway. But as for you, the collective you, I don't want you to just listen and say, nice talk, Dr. Phil. I want you to march in your life. I want you to march with your beliefs. I want you to not be intimidated. Don't be stopped, and don't just vote. Take 5 people with you. Like I said, the difference between winners and losers is winners do things losers don't want to do. And what they do is they take actions toward known outcomes. They deal with the truth. They set goals, and they go after them with passion. And it's time for us to bring it home. It's time for us to bring it home. It's time for us to be winners. Winners, winners, winners. I started by telling you I love this country. I'll finish by telling you I love this country, and I love you for loving this country. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. And before I leave, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Senator J.D. Vance.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first. Our highways and bridges are falling apart. Who's blessed? Who has been cursed? There's things to be done all over the world, but let's rebuild America first.
Well, it is an honor to be here with all of you at Madison Square Garden. Now think about this, for more than a century, America's most celebrated heroes and legends have made history inside this iconic arena. This, where we stand, is where the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, faced Joe Frazier in the fight of the century. It's where the King, Elvis Presley, played for 80,000 screaming fans. It's where the immortal Hulk Hogan pinned the Iron Sheik and let Hulkamania run wild. And now, on the eve of the most important election in our history, the greatest champion of them all, Donald J. Trump, has come to Madison Square Garden. And I believe in just 8 short days, we're going to turn the United States of America red and make Donald J. Trump the President of the United States. Now, my friends, I've got the easiest job in American politics. Think about this. All I've got to do is remind people what life was like when Donald J. Trump was President of the United States. We had peace. We had prosperity. Take-home pay was rising the fastest that it had in 40 years. Inflation was at 1.5%, the lowest that it had been in a generation. Gas and groceries were affordable. And when Donald Trump was president, we had the most secure border in the history of this country. That's the Donald Trump record, and that's a record that's going to win in just 9 short days. Now, I'm going to maybe surprise a little bit of the folks in this arena, because I'm going to be a little bipartisan here. I'm going to talk about Governor Tim Walz, and I got to be honest with you, I feel bad for him. No. We ought to spare a prayer for Governor Tim Walz, because he's got the hardest job in American politics. He's got to convince the American... You all can say that. I probably shouldn't say that. But think about our friend Tim Walz has got to convince the American people that Kamala Harris is going to somehow fix the very problems she's been creating over the last 3.5 years. He's got to pretend that Kamala Harris didn't open up the southern border and let millions of illegal aliens in, even though we know she did. He's got to pretend that Kamala Harris didn't cast the deciding vote on trillions of dollars of new spending, which created the worst affordability crisis in 40 years in this country. And he's got to pretend that Kamala Harris actually has ideas in her head for how to govern the United States of America. Now, if you are the praying type, and I imagine a lot of us are, please say a prayer for Tim Walz because they're asking him to do the impossible. Kamala Harris acts like she's the candidate of change when she's been in office for 4 years. She says she can fix everything, but Kamala, day one was 1,400 days ago. What the hell have you been doing that whole time? Now, my favorite Kamala Harris moment is that when somebody asks her for specifics on how she'll make life more affordable or groceries cheaper, she'll say, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. You say, Kamala Harris, how are you going to close down the southern border? Because for 4 years you've left it wide open. And she'll say, well, I made the hash browns when I worked at McDonald's and I was pretty good at it. And anybody with a lick of common sense is saying, Kamala Harris, you didn't answer the question. You didn't actually tell the American people how you're going to fix what you broke. And I got to be honest with you, even on that McDonald's answer, I'm not sure that she ever worked at McDonald's. In fact, I think our president, Donald J. Trump, has probably worked at McDonald's for longer than Kamala Harris has. Now, I will say, I'm going to say one thing in Kamala Harris's defense. She does one thing very well. Look at this. You guys, you weren't expecting me to be so bipartisan, but I will say this for Kamala, that every time she does an interview, I think Donald Trump picks up about 100,000 votes. Now, we're, of course, in one of the proud baseball cities in the United States of America. So you know the problem with a softball interview is that you've got to be able to hit a softball still. And that's the problem with Kamala Harris, is I don't think that she could hit a T-ball based on what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. When she was asked what she would do differently compared to Joe Biden, she said, nothing comes to mind. She's running on how she's going to be different, but she couldn't name a single thing that she would do differently than Joe Biden. Now, I will say that could be the Kamala Harris official campaign slogan. Kamala Harris, nothing comes to mind. Now, the other day, CNN asked if she had made any mistakes as vice president. Now, here's what she actually said, and I am quoting word for word. She said, in my role as vice president, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well-versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well-versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question. Now, I have no idea what any of that means, and frankly, neither do any of you. None of us know what the hell she says. Now, she may not be able to name any of her mistakes, but the American people sure can. And 9 days from now, we're going to tell Kamala Harris You're fired. Go back to San Francisco where you belong. Get the hell out of the White House. Now, together, Donald J. Trump and all of us as part of this movement are going to unleash a golden age of American prosperity. We're going to make life affordable again in the United States of America. We're going to put the American dream of homeownership within reach for millions of American young people. We're going to secure our border, and we're going to keep our families safe. We're going to protect your right to free speech and religious liberty. And we're going to do it all thanks to the leadership of one man. Now, we have to remember, that one man, Donald J. Trump, 8 years ago, go back 8 years, he had everything. He had fame, he had fortune, he had family, he had friends. But he gave up the easy life to save the United States of America. When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him. When that didn't work, they tried to impeach him. When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison, and when that didn't work, they even tried to kill him. But as sure as the American flag still waves, Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Let's do it.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first. Our highways and bridges are falling apart. Who's blessed and who has been cursed? There's things to be done all over the world, but let's rebuild America.
Please welcome Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, Eric Trump, and Co-Chair of the Republican National Committee, Laura Trump.
New York City! The greatest president we have ever had is right behind us. Let's make some noise for him. Guys, this isn't politics. This isn't politics. This is a family. It's hard. We love you too. We love you too. This is so much more than a political movement. This is the greatest family in the world. We are fighting for a country we love. We are fighting for the American flag. We are fighting for the Constitution. We are fighting for our liberty. And as a family, we've been out there every single day over the last 10 years. They've tried everything they could to destroy my father, to destroy us. Dirty dossiers, Russian hoaxes. They tried to impeach him twice. They went after his Supreme Court nominees. They threw him off of Facebook. They threw him off of Twitter. They threw him off of Instagram. They tried to take away his First Amendment right. Guys, they tried absolutely everything. They weaponized every DA and every AG in this country to try and take down my father. Here in New York, they did exactly that. Alvin Bragg, Letitia James. They tried to destroy his life. They tried to take him off the ballot in Colorado. They tried to take him off the ballot in Maine. They tried to subdue the vote of literally hundreds of millions of Americans who absolutely adore the guy. Guys, it's been political lawfare every single day. And then somebody tried to kill him. And despite that, every single time he stands up and he says, fight, fight, fight. And how do you think it feels for them as we're back at Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena anywhere in the world? Guys, I saw the Rangers play here and win the Cup in '94. Every Knicks game, every concert, the greatest arena anywhere in the world. And you better believe the entire party who has failed at taking down Donald Trump, an entire party who has failed at taking down his family, they're sitting there on those cameras right now, watching all of us, watching all of you. Almost 200,000 people tried to get into this event tonight. The streets, Fifth Avenue, all the way from Trump Tower, all the way down to Madison Square Garden, 10 people deep. That's how much love there is in the greatest city anywhere in the world. Guys, in 9 days, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. And not only is he going to make America great again, he's going to make New York City great again. So on behalf of our entire family, thank you. Thank you for being on the greatest ride I could have ever possibly been a part of. Thank you for 10 incredible years. I want you to know, and I speak on behalf of my entire family, I want you to know that we will never stop fighting. My father will never stop fighting. Laura will never stop fighting. I'll never stop fighting. We live in the greatest country in the world. We are not going to allow that to slip away. And I promise you guys the best days of this nation are ahead of us. I love you very much. New York, it's an honor to be here.
All right, y'all aren't done with us just yet. I'll say a few things if that's okay with everybody here. Can I just say how honored I am to be the co-chair of the Republican National Committee for you guys? I'll tell you something, we're making sure that we have free, fair, and transparent elections and nobody's cheating in 2024. Guys, we are 9 days away from making sure we send a loud and clear message to the mainstream media, to the establishment, to the Democrats, to Hollywood, that it is not them. It is we, the people, who choose our president, and we're choosing Donald J. Trump. And I gotta tell you, it is incredible to be here in Madison Square Garden, in New York City, the greatest city on earth, in the greatest country on earth, the United States of America. Because if you think about it, New York City made Donald Trump, right? But Donald Trump also made New York City. He changed the skyline of this city, rebuilt it. Remember whenever they couldn't get an ice skating rink, Woolman Rink in Central Park? Donald Trump rebuilt the ice skating rink for New York City. By the way, under budget and ahead of schedule, if I'm not mistaken, because that's how we like to do things in the Trump family. And when nobody else was doing it, Donald Trump put his heart and soul right here in New York City. It's true, and this is the city that made him a household name. This is the city that put Donald Trump in so many rap songs, by the way, right? And truly made him the American dream. But I'll tell you something, being a New Yorker teaches you something else, doesn't it? It teaches you how to be tough. It teaches you that it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, you get back up and you keep fighting. When they impeach you, you keep fighting. When they indict you, you keep fighting. When they take a mugshot of you, the greatest mugshot in the history of the world, you keep fighting. And when an assassin's bullet strikes you, you don't lay down. You get up, you stand strong, and you keep fighting, right? Now, in case you guys don't know, Donald Trump likes to go places nobody expects him. Anybody hear about a little rally up the street in the Bronx? Yeah. Does anybody know the last time a Republican president campaigned in the Bronx? It was Ronald Reagan, and ladies and gentlemen, he turned New York red. I'm just saying. It is the honor of my life to be part of this movement, and Eric is right. This is not just about politics. We are all a big family, and we're a family who loves this country. And I can tell you something, 9 days from now, it is going to be the sweetest comeback, because we know the art of the deal. We also know the art of the comeback from Donald Trump that this country has ever seen. Everybody get out, vote early, take a friend to vote. Let's make America great again. We love you, New York.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Donald Trump Jr.
Are you guys ready to take your country back? Are you sick of the insanity? Guys, this is not my first rodeo. It's the third go-around, but you think this could have ever happened 4 or 8 years ago in the heart of New York City? The King of New York is back to reclaim the city that he built. My father changed the skyline of this city. He fixed the things that incompetent bureaucrats couldn't handle. He did that against all odds. He did it for our country too, and now everyone recognizes it. What's unique about this election, folks, you've had 4 years under both leaders. The media would like to pretend that Kamala Harris started her political career about a month ago in a coup, the most democratic process to ever not have a single vote. She's going to be a moderate, folks. She's going to be a moderate. A radical San Francisco liberal. The daughter of a Marxist professor is now magically going to be a moderate. No one's buying it anymore. You know why? Because they've been lying to you for the last 9 years, and you're not buying their crap anymore. You've had enough. The fact that I could drive here today with my father for like 25 blocks and watch the streets of New York lined up with red MAGA hats tells us everything you need to know. You had 4 years under Donald Trump, and despite the most vicious opposition from the media, from big tech, from the Democrats, and even from the weakling Republicans, you got results. We got peace deals done. Our enemies weren't invading their neighbors. The economy grew. Inflation was next to nothing. And then Kamala Harris and Joe Biden took over, and everything went to hell like that. I keep watching it in the news. It's amazing. Kamala Harris is going to fix all these things. I say, you know what? Why hasn't she started fixing them? You know, you've had 4 years. Why didn't you maybe get going? You're going to wait till January 20th? Americans are suffering. People can't make rent. Businesses are going under. Grocery prices are too expensive. I tell a story. Last summer, I was coming back from a fishing trip with 2 of my boys. And we went to McDonald's. And it was $48 for a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, and me. And guys, let me tell you, if Donald Trump Jr. has sticker shock at McDonald's, we have a serious problem. It does not have to be this way, guys. We can change it, but it's going to take all of you. You know, these days, everyone's a tough guy. Everyone's a tough guy on the keyboard, on the internet. Everyone's a badass. But when you get shot in the face and you come back defiant, ready to fight, that's a badass. That's the guy. That's the guy that can fix the problems that we have. That's the guy that's going to keep our enemies in check. That's a guy that's going to fight for each and every one of you. He's done it once. Let's send him back to Washington, D.C. with an overwhelming mandate to fix the nonsense once and for all. Guys, Look at the people who have spoken here tonight, and look at some of the people who are still coming. When did you think you'd be able to get RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk? People from all different walks of life, incredible skill sets, whether it be health, whether it be technology, everything. You have them on one unified ticket. Think about that. Compare that to Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim. It ain't the same, folks. Timmy ain't fixing anything, and neither is Kamala. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change Washington, to put in common sense practices, to put Americans first, because they're not first right now. The Democrat Party has forgotten about Americans. Rather than cater to Americans, they decided, you know what? It would just be easier to replace them with people who will be reliable voters. The insanity has to stop, and the fact that we can pack Madison Square Garden in the heart of New York City shows me that the spirit of the American people is there. That same spirit my father showed on July 13th, that's the spirit of America. That's the spirit we need going into Election Day. So for the next 9 days, each and every one of you, you line up like you're the third monkey on line for the Ark and it's starting to rain. You vote early, and then you bring your friends so that we can take back our country once and for all. And when we do that, guys, we're not just gonna make America great again, we're gonna make the world great. We're gonna make the world safe. We're gonna fix it all. Get out there, guys, and just like you're gonna fight, get out there and vote, vote, vote. Thank you, New York City. Love you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage CEO of the UFC, Dana White.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are 9 days away from the most important election of my lifetime. Stakes have never been higher, and the choice has never been clearer. President Trump and I have been friends for 25 years. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. He is the most resilient, hardest working human being that I've ever met in my life. I know he's a great leader. This is not my opinion, not my hope. He's proven he can build the strongest economy in American history. He's proven he can secure our borders and keep our nation safe. He's proven to be the strong leader allies and adversaries alike must respect. He's proven he loves this country so much, he's literally put his life on the line for it. What has the other candidate proven? She can get your party's nomination without even facing voters. What else? What else can she offer the American people other than vague promises and no plan? She talks a lot about the need for change and her hope for the future. Hope and change. Does that sound familiar? She can use the old Obama playbook, but she's not Obama, and she is no agent of change. She is the sitting vice president of the United States right now. What she hopes is voters will focus on the future because she doesn't want us looking at the last 4 years to see what we really need to change. We need change from sky-high inflation. According to Yahoo Finance, the cost of groceries is up over 25% during the Biden-Harris administration. Food is unaffordable for most Americans. That has to change. We need change from wide-open borders. BBC News reports illegal immigration reached record levels since they took office, with an estimated 10 million border crossings. That's a 300% increase compared to the Trump administration, and that's not including the unknown millions who cross undetected. That is the record of the other candidate, the border czar of the Biden administration. We need change from weak foreign policy. According to the Institute for Economics and Peace, a nonpartisan think tank, think about this, there are more active armed conflicts now than any time since World War II. Weakness from the Biden-Harris administration has invited aggression and conflicts around the globe. When President Trump was our commander-in-chief, the world was a much more peaceful place. J.D. Vance touched on this, but I want to hit it again. Vice President Harris was asked recently by the objective journalists of The View if there's anything she would have done differently than Biden over the past 4 years. And again, her answer was, there is not a thing that comes to mind. So, don't take my word for it, take hers. She will not change a thing. Hope is nice, but hope is not a plan. Change is needed, but change won't come from the status quo. And she is the status quo. If you want real change, you'll vote for proven leadership. If you want to return to economic prosperity, border security, and global stability, you'll vote for the one candidate who's proven he can deliver all of that. My fellow Americans, if you want what's best for your family and this country, you're going to vote Donald J. Trump as the 47th President of the United States. Thank you, New York. Have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Chairman and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick.
I mean, it was not on my bucket list, okay? People like me do not get to play Madison Square Garden. This place rocks. All right, most of you in New York, maybe you know my story. My company is called Cantor Fitzgerald. And we were located on the 101st to the 105th floors of the World Trade Center. I get to be here today because I was taking my son Kyle to his first day of kindergarten that morning, 23 years ago. I lost 658 of my friends and colleagues. I had 960 who worked in New York that day, and we lost 658 people. And we rebuilt that company to take care of the families of those that I lost. So we took care of those families. Each of my employees, they took 25% of their salaries and they gave it to the families of the people we lost, because that's what New Yorkers do. And we gave those families $180 million. So the first thing, we must elect Donald J. Trump president, because we must crush jihad. I love this city. I love this city. And Donald Trump loves this city no matter how crappy they treat him. He is back because he loves you and he loves this city. We all say, make America great again. But let's just go over for a minute what that means, because we all say it as a slogan. When was America great? At the turn of the century, our economy was rocking. This is 1900, 125 years ago. We had no income tax. And all we had was tariffs. All we had was tariffs. And we had so much money that we had the greatest businessmen of America get together to try to figure out how to spend it. That's who we were then. But then we had World War I and we had World War II. And we felt we had a duty to rebuild the rest of the world. So here's what we did. We took down our protection. We took down our tariffs. And we turned instead and we taxed Americans so that we could export the power of our economy and save the rest of the world, which we did. Now let me ask you a question. What decade should that have ended? Should it have ended in the 80s? The 90s? 2000? What in the world are we doing? We're letting the rest of the world eat our lunch. And it is time to make America great again. All right, what does America first mean? We all say America first. What does America first mean? American citizens employed first. NAFTA. NAFTA, Bill Clinton's favorite I hate Michigan move. open the border, take all car manufacturing and move it to Mexico, and screw over everyone in America who works in the auto industry. We don't make cars here. I mean, they make our cars in China and ship them here. It's got to end. So when he says America first, let's be crystal clear. He is saying employ American citizens first. Okay. The Harris-Biden administration has set us up with a $6.5 trillion spending budget on our taxes of $4.5 trillion as they screw our children's future to the wall. We lose $2 trillion this year, $2 trillion. And Donald Trump is going to build the greatest team to ever walk into government, and we are going to balance our budget. And when we balance our budget, the world is going to feel what it feels like to unleash the full power of the United States economy and its amazing workforce. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to introduce the co-founder with me of the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, Madison Square Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the greatest capitalist in the history of the United States of America, Elon Musk. All right.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA. Well, the energy in this room is incredible. What a great group of people.
All right, I've only got one question for you, and then I'm getting out of here because
All
this
right.
is your stage. But we set up Doge.
Yes.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing. guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like... Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about. Yeah. USA, 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 USA. Wah! Yes. Now, I have something I want to ask you to do, though, because obviously we're somewhat preaching to the converted in this stadium, but there's a lot of people out there who need to vote for President Trump. Okay, so this is a real battle. This is a real election battle. So you need to get friends and family to vote. Make sure they vote. Vote early. This is important. We're going to be putting up a scorecard, okay? An early vote scorecard, state by state, county by county. What is the scorecard? Vote early. Vote now. Yeah. Make the margin of victory so big that you know what can happen. Massive, overwhelming sweep of every swing state, and even some of the states that people don't think are swing states. Massive, crushing victory. Get everyone, friends, family, people on the street. Put the signs up, put the hat on. Let's go. And with that, it is my honor to introduce the First Lady, Melania Trump.
Good evening, New York City. Hello, Madison Square Garden. Our hometown, where architectural symbols of strength, courage, and unity create a canvas for the world's undisputed capital of industry. Where titans of finance, fashion, and entertainment convene among an iconic range of superior design, structures, and artistic accomplishments.
end, American ingenuity blossoms among determined citizens who race across city streets and between offices, striving for success. It is you who are the heartbeat of this great metropolis. It is you who are the pulse of this America. Yet, New York City is unforgiving. In fact, our lives are complicated even during the best of times. And sadly, today, a declining quality of life coupled with economic instability makes it difficult for business to thrive. Love you too. Crime is on the rise, while public safety diminishes, creating an environment where families with young children choose to relocate. And this story repeats itself from coast to coast across our nation. This is America. For generations, this town has produced America's most fearless leaders, whose mark changed the course of the world. New York City and America needs their magic back. A country of tomorrow that will shape our future and reset expectations for the generations. Envision a wonderful America where the seeds of security, prosperity, and health are sown once again for benefit of our families. Let us charge together with a shared vision that builds on American greatness. Let's seize this moment and create a country for tomorrow, the future that we deserve. And now, please welcome our next Commander-in-Chief, my husband, President Donald J. Trump.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life. And I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. 'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much to a very popular former First Lady, hopefully First Lady again. And I just want to say a very big hello to a special place, New York, and to an incredible arena, Madison Square Garden. Incredible. And then we have all of the people that could fill it up 10 times. You take a look at outside what's going on all the way down to the river, the beautiful, beautiful Hudson River. They're outside watching this now at levels that nobody's ever seen before. They've never had it. And I want to thank Jim Dolan. He's been incredible. He's been just incredible. The job they've done. Thank you. But I'm thrilled to be back in the city I love, and thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. You're with me. We're all together. We've always been together. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country, and I will bring back the American dream. We need the American dream to come back home. Our country will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of gross incompetence and failure, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We will achieve success that no one can imagine. We will have the strongest economy, the most secure borders, the safest cities, the most powerful military, the best trade deals, and we will dominate the frontiers of science, medicine, business, technology, and space. And I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again.
I'm asking you to dream big again. We're going to dream big again. We haven't been dreaming big at all. This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly. Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've done a terrible job, that crooked Joe Biden has done a terrible job. You've destroyed our country. We're not going to take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired. Get out, get out. You're fired. Early voting is underway in every swing state, and we are setting all-time records. They're voting, I tell you what. I don't want to talk about it. But we have to keep it going. You got to get out and vote. We just have to get out. And who would have thought this was going to happen? We're leading in every swing state. But it doesn't mean a thing. It only means how are we doing at the end. So look, we have 9 days from now, and we're going to defeat Kamala Harris, and we're going to win back the beautiful White House, and we're going to make America great again, and it's going to happen fast. Thank you. In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has shattered our middle class. She cast the deciding votes that launched the worst inflation in the history of our country. She cost the typical American family over $3,000 in a short period, but over $30,000 over the last 3 years. She killed 50,000 manufacturing jobs this year alone. Now Kamala wants to raise the typical family taxes by nearly $3,000 a year and impose a 33% tax hike on all domestic production. If Kamala Harris gets 4 more years, our economy can never recover. If I win, we will quickly build the greatest economy in the history of the world. Which is what we had in our last term. We will rapidly defeat inflation, and we will very simply make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable. I will massively cut taxes for workers and small businesses, and we will have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. And I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right? They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, 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 but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much. I'll also make interest on car loans fully tax deductible, but only for cars made in America. Have to be made in America. And we will achieve energy independence, And we will do something. We want it so badly. We're going to do something. You know what we're going to do? Front row Joes. You know, I got front row Joes here. I got the ladies from North Carolina, number 249. This is the 200, and you look so beautiful. We have a lot of people. They followed us, but we're going to do something. The ladies can tell you what we're going to do. We're going to drill a baby drill. And I will terminate the Green New Scam, and we'll cut your energy prices in half, 50%, within 1 year from January 20th. Is the fake news hearing that? Whoa! Look how much. Wow, that's a lot of fake news. That is a lot of fake news. Look at that. Wow. That's got to be a record, Mr. Speaker. I think that's a record. That is a lot of fakers back there. To bring back millions of jobs, we will give our companies the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the best and biggest market on the planet. Remember this, if we keep going like this, we won't have the biggest and the best. We won't have a market, we won't have a country. But only for those who make their product here in the USA and hire American workers for the job. And if these companies don't make their products here, then they will pay a very stiff tariff when they send their products into the United States for the privilege of competing with our workers and our now protected companies. We're going to protect our companies. They're not leaving anymore. They're not leaving anymore. We're also going to pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act, meaning if China or any other country charges us 100 or 200% tax or tariff, we will then charge them a 100 or 200% tax or tariff. It's called an eye for an eye. And I will never apologize for defending America. I will protect our workers. I will protect our jobs. I will protect our borders. I will protect our great families, and I will protect the birthright of our children to live in the richest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth. As we rescue our economy, I will also restore our borders. There's never been anything like it. It's bigger than inflation. It's bigger than the economy. What they're doing to our country, they're allowing criminals from all over the world to enter our country. Over the past 4 years, Kamala Harris has orchestrated the most egregious betrayal that any leader in American history has ever inflicted upon our people. She has violated her oath, eradicated our sovereign border, and unleashed an army of migrant gangs who are waging a campaign of violence and terror against our citizens. There has never been anything like it anywhere in the world for any country. Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions from all around the world, from Venezuela to the Congo. A lot of people are coming from the Congo prisons. They're coming from all over the world. Over the last month, 181 countries violated our laws. And she has resettled them into your communities to prey upon innocent American citizens. But the day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion of our country ends and the restoration of our country begins. One of the deadliest and most vicious migrant gangs that Kamala has imported into our country is the savage Venezuelan prison gang. Nice group of people. They got together in prison, the worst prison in the world, they say. It's called Tren de Aragua. and that is taking over apartment complexes and unleashing a violent killing spree all over America, especially in Aurora, Colorado, where we have a governor who's petrified of them, and maybe he should be. But now they've even taken over Times Square. Take a look.
Orders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America. It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about lack of crime, this is what they're talking about.
San Antonio, Texas, just one of the latest cities to have apartment complexes taken over by members of the Venezuelan gang.
Biden and Harris had created a program to bring them in under humanitarian parole.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented cross borders criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
If they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
2 men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder and the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Martinez and Angel wrapped his arms around Jocelyn's neck, took off her pants, and climbed on top of her. Later strangled Jocelyn to death and then tied up her hands and feet.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
The men threatened to cut off her fingers if she did not cooperate. Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
A Peruvian gang leader who is wanted for 23 murders, who was arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas, then released into America.
That's who we're allowing into our country. We're not going to have a country any longer. That's who we're allowing in. The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. Not going to be happening. Not going to be happening. November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I'm going to get the criminals out. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered, and we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail. We're going to kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible. And to expedite removals of Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs like MS-13, which is equally vicious, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. That's how far back. That's when they had law and order. They had some tough ones. Think of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. You hear that, Mr. Speaker? Get ready. To target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. And there are lots of them. We don't have the same country anymore, you know that. And you know, when you look at the polls and they say about the economy and they have all these different things, the worst nightmare that we're facing is what they've done to us on our borders. We had the safest border in the world. In fact, there's a chart, which I hope they have, because I didn't tell them I wanted it, but there's a chart that I love very much because I wouldn't be here without it. That's it. I love it. I'm in love with it. I love that chart. Even if it had bad numbers, I would have loved that chart, but it doesn't. It has great numbers. And if you look at the arrow on the bottom, you'll see that was the day I left office. That was the lowest illegal immigration that we've ever had in recorded history, the recorded history of our country. And then look at it. It was like an Elon Musk rocket ship. Look at what happens. Look at what happened after that. And if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. Under Kamala, America is a sanctuary for criminals and for illegal aliens that are in our country illegally. I will immediately ban all sanctuary cities in the United States. Kamala's gross incompetence disqualifies her from being president of the United States of America. She is grossly incompetent. All you have to do is look at her interviews, look at what she did the other night on fake news, CNN. Just take a look. She couldn't answer a question. She's unfit for office. Everyone knows it. No one respects her. No one trusts her. No one takes her seriously. Everyone knows she is a very low IQ individual. From humiliating our country in Afghanistan to the war in Ukraine, to the nightmare on our border, to her inflation catastrophe, all done in conjunction with Sleepy Joe. But he was largely sleeping, wasn't he? After 4 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. To his and her egregious hurricane response, the worst response in North Carolina and other states since Katrina, but I think it was even worse than Katrina. They haven't even responded in North Carolina. They haven't even responded. There's nobody. They don't see any FEMA. You know why? They spent their money on bringing in illegal migrants, so they didn't have money for Georgia and North Carolina and Alabama and Tennessee and Florida and South Carolina. They didn't have any money for them. They spent all of their money on bringing in illegal immigrants and flying them in by beautiful jet planes. They flew in. We just found that about a year and a half ago. Remember, we said, what's going on? Those planes, there are a lot of planes going over there. What are they? They would fly them into the middle of our country, our beautiful, beautiful country. And you know what happened? You take a look at Springfield, Ohio. Think of this. Where 30,000 illegal migrants were put into a town of 50,000 people. No place can withstand that. Or take a look at Aurora in Colorado. Colorado is going to vote for us. You know why? Typically, they go a little bit the other way. Of course, with their voting system, I'm not so sure about that. But you know why? Because they tried to throw the leading candidate of both parties, meaning me. I was leading both parties off the ballot. And the people of Colorado, including Democrats, are very angry about it. They are a threat to democracy, to use their term. Isn't it nice to have somebody that's your president that doesn't need a teleprompter? We haven't been on teleprompter for a long time. I haven't been on this teleprompter. No, it is nice. You saw the other day where Kamala got a little stuck on the teleprompter, went a little bad. It stopped on her. You have to be, you know, if you're a politician, you have to be able to handle that. Remember? You have to do the weave, he says. You got to do more than the weave. But it happens a lot as a politician. It happens, I mean, we have so many politicians here, great ones. Really great, some are not so good, but great ones. And when Newt, or when the Speaker, or when Tommy Tuberville, who's here someplace, the great senator from Alabama, or when any one of our literally 75, by the way, should I introduce all of them by name? I should. Should I? No? Yes? I don't know. It's a lot. Speaker, should I? I don't know. Will they be angry at me? Yeah, they will. It's a lot of introducing, right? Let's keep going with this speech, right? But you know, when you have when you're in this profession, I have a friend who wanted to come in. I said, do you like speaking? Well, I do, but I have a great fear of speaking. I said, don't be a politician. If you have a fear of speaking, don't be a politician. But one thing you have to know is that no matter how good your people are that operate this machinery, it's going to break, and you're going to be out there all by yourself a lot, and you got to be able to do so. 3 weeks ago, she was saying there was only 32 days left, right? And she's reading it like, there's 32 days, and it stopped. And she went, there's 32 days. 32. 32. And I was watching. I said, this isn't pretty. 32. She was gone. And then, damn it, it kicked back on. She was gone. We've had it. Happens a lot. And don't forget, you got all those people back there. Now, they don't talk about her, but if that ever happened, it happens all the time. I was campaigning in Ohio for a very, very Bernie Moreno. He's doing a good job. I think he's maybe going to win in Ohio. The problem he's got, his opponent, Brown, Sherrod Brown, he's taking ads in like he's my best friend. He never votes for me. He's not my best friend. Ohio's been very friendly to Trump. We win it all the time by a landslide. But the opponent is taking ads. I got 4 of them. I think we have 4 of them, right? They're taking ads. All of a sudden, they love Trump. We agree with Trump on tariffs. We agree with Trump on the border. We love Trump. And they're Democrats. They have friends calling up. Did they switch to the Republican Party? But it happened with Bernie Moreno. I was in Ohio to try and get him over the initial primary hump. And it was 45-mile-an-hour winds, and these suckers were blowing like, you ever try reading a teleprompter where it's moving about 2 feet in each? But I didn't have to worry about that because even worse, they ended up blowing off the stage a lot of it. So I'm now in the first sentence, and I got 28,000 people and millions of people watching on television. I got no teleprompter. And did I do a good job, Mr. Speaker? And he won. And he won, huh? Thank you, Matt. And he won. And so you're up there all alone. We don't go 32, 32, 32, oh my God, whatever. Kamala Harris is a train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. To make her president would be a gamble with the lives of millions and millions of people. She would get us into World War III. We're very close to World War III. If you don't have a smart president, if you don't have a president that gets it, if you don't have a president that is respected by the other side, and they did respect us 4 years ago, they really respected us. Iran was broke. They had no money. Russia wouldn't have played with us at all. Russia would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel, October 7th, would never, ever have happened. Would have never have happened. All those people would be alive right now, those people that were killed on that horrible day. But if you don't have a president that gets it, you know what else you wouldn't have had? You wouldn't have had the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, in my opinion, Afghanistan, the way not that they got out, we were getting out, but we were going to get out with dignity and strength. We got out, an embarrassment, the likes of which this country has never suffered. And because of that, Putin looked at us and they probably figured we were a paper tiger and he went into Ukraine, and the rest is history. It would have never happened with us. And you wouldn't have had any inflation. You know, we had the best economy, but we had no inflation. And inflation has destroyed a lot of seniors on fixed income, and a lot of people in this room have been virtually destroyed by inflation. You wouldn't have had inflation. They screwed up our energy, and it went up so much. And then they started spending far too much money on things like the Green New Scam, which is just a scam, just a complete scam. They actually admitted that, if you think about it. But she would get us into World War III because she's incompetent, can't do the job, unfit for it, and then all of your sons and daughters will end up getting a little notice. They'll say, Mom, Dad, what is this little green piece of paper? Ay, 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 darling, that's a draft notice. They're drafting you to go and fight in some country that I've never heard this country. I've never heard of this country before. Oh, no, I don't want my baby to fight. I don't want my baby to be killed. What they did in Afghanistan with those 13 great soldiers, I've gotten to know the parents so well, and leaving all of that equipment behind and leaving Americans behind, and many, many people with no legs and no arms, all because of incompetent people. But we don't want your sons and daughters to get a little draft notice and you have to explain to them what it means. We're tired of fighting. I'm the only president in the last 84 years that didn't start a war. Remember Crooked Hillary? Remember Crooked Hillary Clinton? Crooked Hillary, oh, she was a beauty. During one of our many debates, she said, look at him, listen to him. He's going to start a war. Listen to his rhetoric. He's going to start a war. I said, no, no, no. My rhetoric is going to keep us out of wars. And that's what happened. 82 years. Other than I finished off ISIS, but that was already started. We had stupid generals like Milley and Mattis, weak, stupid people. But fear not, we have great generals, just not the ones that you see on television all the time. And we wiped them out very quickly. It was going to take 5 years. Mattis said it would take 5 years, and I'm not sure we could do it. It took us like 4 weeks. We have great generals. We have the greatest military in the world. Just a lot of people don't know that. And everybody knows it, but, you know, I saw the other day a report that they issued that if we end up in a war with China, we cannot win. We're not strong enough. So I said to myself, assuming that's true, how stupid are you to put out a report like that? How stupid. Why would you put out a report? Then they'll say, oh, Trump is not truthful. No, I'm smart. You don't put out reports like that. And it's not true. We would kick their ass. It's not true. Our enemies are laughing at her. They want her to win so badly. Oh, they don't want Trump. They don't want Trump. I've made this position a very dangerous one because of that. That's why. It's a very dangerous. You know, if you drive a race car, you have 1/10 of 1% chance of dying. If you ride the bulls, I think the bulls are pretty nasty, right? You have about the same 1/10 of 1% of dying. If you become president of the United States, you got a hell of a shot at dying. I never knew that when I ran. I never thought about it, but here we are. Here we are. And I'm okay with it. And I would rather be here than any place in the world. It's called a very dangerous profession. But if we win, our enemies won't be laughing anymore. They're not going to be laughing. And you know what? The truth is I got along with all of them. I got along with Putin. Ukraine was the apple of his eye, but I said, Vladimir, don't go in. Remember, I ended the pipeline in Europe. I ended the pipeline in Europe. And then when Biden came in, he approved it. But he ended the Keystone Pipeline, the one in America. So he got it a little mixed up, didn't he, huh? Nord Stream 2, I said, we're ending Nord Stream 2. Everybody said, what is Nord Stream 2? I said, that's the massive Russian pipeline where they're going to make a fortune, where they're going to Germany and all countries in Europe. So I said, you mean we're fighting to help them with NATO and spending all of that money, and they're paying the person and the group that we're fighting billions of dollars a month? What the hell are we doing? I ended it. It was dead. And Biden came along and he approved it. Weak. Look, 30 years ago, he was not considered smart either, so now he's really not smart. If we win, America will be respected, and even if it's necessary, feared again. It's not the worst word. On issue after issue, Kamala broke it, but I will fix it. We're going to fix it. But we're just not running against Kamala. I think a lot of our politicians here tonight know this. She means nothing. She's purely a vessel. That's all she is. When you see her up there talking about the grass on my front lawn, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood and I had grass on my front lawn. Yeah, but we're asking, what would you do to fix the country? And why didn't you do it? You had almost 4 years. Why didn't you do this stuff? Now she's, she's becoming more MAGA than those politicians I just told you about from the different states. She can't put two sentences together. She's just like, she's really just like, in many ways, crooked Joe Biden. And she never said to us, she never told us that Joe was not functioning properly. She should have. Because, we're talking about the life of the most important country in the world. We need very smart people. We're running against something far bigger than Joe or Kamala, and far more powerful than them, which is a massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party. They're just vessels. In fact, they're perfect vessels because they'll never give them a hard time. They'll do whatever they want. I know many of them. It's just this amorphous group of people. But they're smart and they're vicious. And we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. But this is who we're fighting. These are the people who are doing such harm to our country with their open border policies, record-setting inflation, Green News scam, and everything else that they're doing. But we're not going to let it happen any longer. We're going to have the biggest victory in the history of our country on November 5th. It's going to be the biggest victory in history. We're going to make America great again, everybody. On top of it all, Kamala says she would not do one thing differently from Joe Biden, which is totally disqualifying. And you have to remember this. All of the mistakes he made, and you know what maybe is the worst, but they're all so bad. Think of this. 325,000 children are missing, dead, sex slaves or slaves. They came through the open border and they're gone. Their parents will most likely never see them again, almost any of them. Think of the number, 320